Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, welcome to another episode of 94 Feet Podcast. This is your boy Big Zeke. I'm in the building with Dre.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Dre in the building, 94 Feet Nation.
I'm also in the building with my boy Kesey.
What's good, good people? Good to be here with y'all again.
Yo.
All right. We gonna start off with the injury report. Go ahead, Dre.
Injury report. The NBA is still injured. Drew Holiday, he was out, but he's back. Played a short couple of minutes. Brook Lopez is out indefinitely. Back injury. Terry Rozier, mild ankle sprain, day to day. And Bradley Beal is out with a hip injury, also listed as day to day.
Now, I don't want to take too much time into this, but last week we talked about the injuries that were the list of injuries like before the season started. And one of the things that was one of the people who was on that list was Zion Williamson. And he was on there for I think it was like something about he had surgery in the offseason and
he had a foot injury.
He had a foot injury, thank you. So he would be out like the first 2 weeks of the season. At the time, there was really nothing to really like think about. It was just, reporting injuries, something we do here every week on the podcast. But as I've kind of like heard rumors on the street and kind of just like seeing articles and such and such and such and such, come to find out, Zion Williamson is 300 plus pounds. Now that is the 10th heaviest person in NBA history. And when he came out of college, that was one of those things that was of concern was him being getting heavy and him and his conditioning issues and so on and so forth. So real quick, is this going to be a problem going forward?
With Zion, you talking about?
Yeah.
No,
he's about 318, just about like 310, 318.
Everybody doesn't have that willpower, man, to stick to that strict diet, that league diet. Considering how his athletic ability with the size he has, and he has gotten away with it so long, it's a mindset that he's gonna have to change, and it's gonna take some time, but he's gonna have to be dedicated to that, man. Or otherwise, like you said, if he keep coming in overweight, he's gonna keep on building up injuries, and then pretty soon he's gonna be labeled injury prone.
Which he already is. Let's not forget.
You think
that.
He is?
He's very injury prone already. In 2 seasons, he hasn't played a full season since he's been drafted.
I'll give you that.
Let's talk a little bit about. I'm going to give Zion a slight pass simply because he gained that weight on top of an injured foot, which probably limited his mobility to work out, which limited his abilities to work out. However, Zion being very rich, he should be on that LeBron plan. He should have in-house chefs. He should have in-house workout machines. If he doesn't,
he's on a rookie contract,
but he still has money.
Not that much, but continue.
He should have a trainer. So, we know what it's like as regular people to not get up and go to the gym. But none of us have ever been injured enough to where it's impactful to where we maybe can't walk or can't lift a finger. The man had a broken foot, it sounds like, or an injured foot. So I'm sure that, has some things to do with him. But to your point, the part of the story that was sort of eye-opening to me was Philly said they didn't recognize him when he walked in. That says a lot, that you can't recognize your star player because he has put on so many pounds. Again, kind of reminds me, talking about Zion.
But you said the wrong team.
Yeah, he did. I let it ride.
I had to let you
so Pelicans.
Confuse our listeners.
Not the Pelicans. Did I say the Pelicans?
No, you said Philly.
Philly. Okay, the Pelicans.
You said the Philly. I'm like, whoa, they ain't recognize Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons came in overweight too.
The Pelicans. What Zion is going through right now sadly reminds me of Robert Tractor Trailer when he was with the Bucks. Remember, he came in the same way. We drafted him. We traded his pick for Dirk Nowitzki, and we ended up with Tractor Trailer. And every year he battled weight, and it got too much for the Bucks to do. I don't know that I see that with Zion because Zion is still so explosive. So time will tell. I hope he can get back in shape and get his weight in order. But The Sixers are going to have to put their foot down.
The Pelicans.
Thank you. The Pelicans are going to have. I don't know what's with me and the Sixers today.
You must want to talk about the Sixers.
I think it's a title. I think it's Ben Simmons.
Oh, you got something to say about the Sixers, huh?
I think it's Ben Simmons
That's
in
what
them.
that mean.
But the foot. I'm confused because Joel Embiid have foot injuries too. But the Pelicans are going to have to put their foot down and demand him to lose weight and have a better routine. Kind of reminds me again of Eddie Lacy and the Packers for football. The team's going to have to put their foot down and say, get it together, or we waving. Bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I think that I found it interesting, and the funny thing is, like, it was always jokes and memes about this, and see it actually come true is always funny because like the food in New Orleans is crazy. So for him to actually have these problems after people were saying he's going to have these problems is always a funny thing to me. So this was the first full week of NBA basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And before we get into other teams, let's talk about the home team, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
I had a pleasure of going to the game this past week, and it was everything I thought it was going to be. Some stuff, I didn't think it was going to be, but it was everything I thought it was going to be. I'm glad I made the game. I'm glad to see, our team get their rings and the banner drop and stuff like that. You can see that Giannis was taking it in, and that was always nice to see. And to see this team not only get their rings, the team banner drop, and them not to only beat the Brooklyn Nets, but to really kind of blow them out. And I think that's the good start to the season to establish ourselves as a team to be a contender in the East, because I've been seeing this whole offseason, ever since the Bucks won the championship, that people aren't taking this team serious. And whether it's the media, whether you see commercials about NBA 2K, or you see about just advertising of the NBA, like, you don't see this team highlighted as you would other teams like the Lakers or the Clippers or even Miami Heat or the Brooklyn Nets. Like, you don't see this team highlighted as much as the other teams. And I thought that was weird, because once you win a championship, that's the time for the media to really put a spotlight on this team. And I thought I was tripping for a minute, but then a broadcaster actually brought it up in a preseason game. I think her name is Doris Burke. She brought it up in a preseason game when they were just talking about how, like, the champions are getting disrespected amongst these title contender teams. So I was the only person at the game. Kesey was at the game. Andre was unable to come. But what do you guys think of the team so far from just a couple of games that we've seen this week?
The first game showed me a lot about the Bucks. I mean, when they're healthy, I can tell they're going to be a force to reckon with in the East. Most definitely in the East. And as you can tell, when we played game 2, it showed.
Yeah.
If we have an injury-prone season,
it can turn ugly.
It can turn ugly for us, and it can get rough. Because you got to think, they were like at 50%, really, basically, because half the players on the roster was out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was good to see it early so that people know injuries play a big part in how your season turn out.
Yeah, you right about that.
And I think that's why so much of the press are disrespecting the Bucks, because it goes back to even when Toronto won the championship against Golden State. People were saying, oh, if KD was playing, Toronto wouldn't have won the title. And as much as of a Bucks fans as we are, people are saying the same thing. If the Nets were at full strength, or if KD foot was an inch ahead, the Bucks wouldn't have won the championship.
Yeah.
So I think the disrespect part is known when a team that isn't expected to win a title wins a title. That's just a given. Same thing happened with Toronto. Same thing happened with Detroit when they beat the Lakers. Same thing happened with the Bucks. It's a small market syndrome. But neither here nor there. The Bucks looked great for me in game 1. I had a chance to watch it. I'm at a foot injury myself on Tuesday. And nice to see the banner come down.
He wasn't playing ball, y'all.
You don't know what I was doing. When the last time you played ball, Mr. Diet Pepsi?
Hey, don't put my business out there.
It's on TV, man. We live on YouTube. But anyway.
Did you see my hand cover up the sign?
We are not promoting Pepsi. You don't pay us enough for that. But no, I like to.
And I did play last Saturday, so don't get twisted.
I liked what I seen in game one.
Mhm.
The Bucks look like a team in game one that can run it back.
I know you're getting real specific. Just we talking about the overall team.
Relax.
We already came. We've already put it out there that they have an injury. A lot of injuries happened on the second game. But go ahead.
Hold tight, man. The Bucks looks like a team that can run it back. Game 2 against the Heat, it wasn't a great game. As a fan, you were probably nervous, but then you look at the bench and said, "There's no Holiday, there's no Lopez, there's no Portis." You really had 7 players playing a whole game against a very athletic yet small Miami Heat basketball team. So I'm not really concerned about that. I liked what I saw the first week. Bucks definitely can repeat. I'm not going to call them the most disrespected team in the NBA because this is basketball. The most disrespected team in the NBA right now are the Lakers. But we're not going to go there. I'm not going to take it there with you because I know how you like to stick to the script. I don't want to get Kesey started. But the Bucks are not the most disrespected team. It's the Lakers.
Okay.
It's the Lakers. Go ahead. Take it there. Go ahead. Take it there.
You know what?
Take it there. Go ahead and segue. Go ahead.
How? Because what your statement just said, this blew my mind. How is the Lakers the most disrespected team in the NBA?
I'm about to tell you right now. Before they played a game, every meme, every disrespectful thing about the Lakers was their age. Okay, people were saying they're not going to even make the whole season. Disrespectful. You have people like Paul Pierce, the LeBron poster child of haterism, saying things like, if LeBron doesn't win it, his legacy is tainted. What? Mm-hmm. Disrespectful. Okay, moving on. Westbrook and Dwight Howard and AD fighting. Oh, it's time to bust the team up. After 2 games, disrespectful. Russell Westbrook has one bad game, a bunch of turnovers in the preseason. I told y'all this isn't going to work. Rusty's a cancer. Disrespectful. Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
So to say that the Lakers aren't the most disrespected team, come on. The Lakers are not getting any love from anybody in sports America right now. Nobody, unless you're a diehard LeBron fan.
Okay, hold on a second. Because I'm talking about, well, first of all, I want to talk about this as far as this disrespect thing going on. I'm talking about a team who's just came off a championship. Mm-hmm. Now, as we all know, it was big. I ain't gonna say big hype, but it was there's promotion for the season.
Of course.
And in these promotional commercials, these promotional videos, these promotional posters, pictures, and stuff like that, have you seen Giannis?
Giannis is in every single one of them.
Not every single one of them.
What? Giannis is in almost all NBA super prime time commercials right now. I'm not sure what you're watching.
But you know what the problem is? He don't watch enough TV.
I do watch TV. I'm watching more TV than both of y'all.
How you miss Giannis not in any of these commercials?
I'm sorry. Was Giannis in the 75-year anniversary commercial?
Yes.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
What?
You must have missed the episode because they broadcast different parts of it.
They do broadcast different parts of it. What I'm saying is, as much airtime as LeBron James gets, as much airtime as Kevin Durant gets, Giannis is not part of that. But that's not even the point.
Hold on, one thing.
Go ahead.
LeBron is worth almost $1 billion. That's all I'm gonna say.
What they got to do anything?
Who you think I'm gonna
You said LeBron bought his time?
LeBron done bought his time already.
You know what?
Giannis gonna have to put in a little more time before they start broadcasting him like that. I mean, one ring. Well, he's in another category.
I just know this. When the Lakers won it, every time I turn the channel on, Lakers just won the championship. Are they gonna repeat? Like I'm not hearing the same kind of hype about
LeBron. It's LeBron James.
All right, that's fine.
No.
That's fine.
It's LeBron. Hold on. That's LeBron. You trying to put apples and oranges together?
I'm not putting apple and oranges together. What I'm saying
LeBron
is this team just won a championship.
LeBron is in a whole nother category, though.
Here's why I disagree with you on disrespect. If they were disrespected, the Bucks wouldn't have got an opening night game. Listen to me. They wouldn't have gotten a Christmas Day game. They wouldn't have gotten a King Day game. The Bucks, I think they said, have over 30 televised national games this year. That's not disrespect, bro. It's small market. So you may not see the Bucks because let's not get it twisted. The Bucks won the championship last year. It doesn't matter anymore. Now we're going for another title, and big markets control the NBA.
Okay,
so
you know
business.
what? I will accept that answer.
It's business.
I will accept that answer.
It's
That's
business.
fine. I will
business.
accept that answer.
Truly.
I will accept that answer. Now moving forward, we just talked about the Lakers, and you kind of you was ready to go into it, but I'm glad you held back.
Can I just ask? You don't think the Lakers are disrespected?
They disrespected every time the TV come on.
How do you disrespect every time the TV?
Everybody got something to say about their roster.
Let's just let's get into this. Hold
Hold
on a second.
on.
Hold on a second. Let me just get into it
Before you go any further.
Go ahead.
If you go back in history and you look at all of those great teams, like even the Pistons and the Bad Boys, the Bulls, all of them, they had disputes on their rosters.
These are different times.
What's the difference?
They go boating together.
Social media.
So they can't have a dispute, but Joe Dumars and Isaiah can fight and win a championship, and it's good.
When
Jordan.
Hold on a
and,
second. When did you hear about these things?
What do you mean?
When did you hear about these things?
After it happened years ago. What he's saying, he's talking about, he's making a correlation between the times. In the 90s, we didn't know that Jordan and Kirk fought. We didn't know that until 10 years after.
But I'm just saying, but now you know, right? Because it wasn't the media. The media wasn't where it is today. So you were able to find these things out earlier. So that's beneficial to us.
It is beneficial to us, and I'm happy for it. But what I'm saying is that, the thing about being a team being disrespected and a team having a spotlight on them is two different things. The Lakers aren't being disrespected. They have a spotlight on them. They have a spotlight on them because of the moves they made in the offseason. If you're going to add a third superstar to your team that already has two superstars, you best believe there's going to be a spotlight on your team. If this whole scenario had happened to the Brooklyn Nets, we'd be talking about it just as much because there is a spotlight on their team. And, you guys ruined my introduction, but that's fine. No, so it's one of those things where like the Lakers 0-2 right now. The Nets 1-1. The Clippers, I think they're 0-2. I think they are 1-2. These teams that are having these spotlights on them because of the roster moves they made are just recognized more, and there's going to be chinks in the armor. Now, do I think that this is something to be honest with you, to dive into it? I think this is something to be worried about. Yes, I think this is something to be worried about because even though it's early in the season, and yes, they have plenty of time to work out this chemistry. We got another 80 games to go, and I get that. But we're talking about right now. And if I have two of my guys on my bench arguing over something as petty as this on a national televised show, on a national televised game,
do we know what they were arguing for?
We don't know, and they're not gonna tell us. But it looked like Anthony Davis was trying to get Dwight Howard attention while he was walking off the court, and and Dwight just came and sat down. And then he said something to him, and then Dwight kind of got up, like he was trying to walk away, but Anthony was like, "No, nigga, you finna hear what I gotta say." Sorry. The point is,
okay.
The point is, what I'm saying is this: you have these teams who are built to go 72-10, 60, 70 games, like the Nets, like the Lakers, and they start off the season looking unorganized. My thing was like LeBron James in that game, he looked like he did not want to be there.
Listen.
He looked like he was going through the motions. I've never seen LeBron James like he was going through the motions.
Listen, I've been on rosters, right? So I'm going to point this out like this. It's times where you're not going to like each other. It's times where you're going to jail.
We do that here on the show.
It's times where you're going to have your scuffles. Every roster I've been on or every team I played for, we've had scuffles.
And that's part
but
of the
at the
game.
end of the day, you come back stronger because then you be like, man, I done got into it with my brother. Now we got to make amends, and now we got to go out here and kill the next game. So
okay, let me ask this question. So you're not worried about the Lakers?
I'm not worried about the Lakers right now.
I am not so much worried about the Lakers as I am just I'm not worried about the Lakers because of the scuffle and because of the 0-2 start. I'm more concerned about the star power and the coaching ability to be able to coach the star power. It takes special kind of coaches, Doc Rivers, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, to be able to coach egos. And the Lakers is full of them. LeBron doesn't have an ego because he doesn't need to have one. He's the only multiple champion on that team besides Rajon Rondo. Okay, so there's no ego there. More importantly, I would be concerned if the Lakers if they started 0-5, then it's time to have some concern. If they started 0-10, then it's time to be concerned. But a 0-2 start does not bother me.
Even though it's to two teams that they're going to have to see later.
It does not bother me because, again, LeBron will turn it on. One of the disadvantages of being a basketball fan, one of the advantages of being a basketball fan is a long season. One of the disadvantages of being a fan is a long season. Mm-hmm. The NBA doesn't really turn it on until after Christmas. Let's just be honest. That's when people be like, okay, it's time to get serious. Some might even say the All-Star break. So the Lakers right now is just the beginning. They're new to each other. The fight between Dwight and Davis, I thought was great for basketball because more teams need to hold each other accountable. Like, dude, step your game up. That's what they did to Mario Chalmers, and Mario Chalmers ended up with 2 championships out of it. The Heat dogged him. Him and LeBron would get into it. Bosh and him would get into it, but he finished with titles. Dwight's looking for another title. Westbrook is looking for the title. AD, who was just named the top 75, not sure why just yet, is looking for another title.
Really?
I said what I said.
Okay.
If I said not sure why yet. If the Lakers need to push on each other and get in each other's face to make sure that the next man steps up or plays better, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Kesey?
I'm all for it.
Keith, are you worried about the 0-2?
I am not worried about the 0-2. I'm like Andre. It's just the first 2 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You got a roster full of players that never played together against other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they practice together and they look good. You know what I mean? Everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Because I've been on teams where we look good in practice. Where you get on the court, you're trying to figure it all out. And you be like, dang, dog, we done lost again. Then here come another loss. You like, oh, dog, we done lost again. Then you like, y'all, look, we're going to have a team meeting now. Now we got to figure out what's going on. And let's get on the same path. Because we all got the same dream, right? Yeah. Everybody want that ring, right?
Everybody want the ring.
So that's what they're going to have. They're going to have that talk.
I mean, I just find it interesting because I find it interesting just because we are sitting here, and like I said before, you got teams who are built to go like 72-10, 60-20 something.
You think the Lakers aren't built to do that?
Yeah. If you have 3 superstars, 3 veteran superstars on your team, I'm expecting you to win 60 to 70 games. Am I crazy for saying that?
I mean, it's an expectation.
60 to 70 games.
But teams like the Lakers are put in a category where they are expected to win a championship or the season was a nothing.
That's what I'm saying. It's championship or bust. So like, and then you have teams that like we just spoke about the Bucks, and like they're built to repeat. And we feel this way after they put a beating on Brooklyn.
Yep.
Now the next game they had a lot of injuries. They didn't have a lot. They weren't fully staffed, but that following game they came back, did what they were supposed to do. So when you have a team like the Lakers, the Bucks, the Nets, I expect him to come out to start the season off to send a message to the rest of the NBA. I'm here. It's going to be hard to beat us.
But also, you got to remember, every time the Lakers come into a season, everybody wants to beat them. Because why?
Because it's the Lakers.
And what else?
Because it's LeBron.
Because it's LeBron James.
Oh,
everybody wants to put their foot in LeBron James' neck.
Why wouldn't you? That's only being
competitive.
Yeah.
But now, some of them players haven't witnessed that LeBron James treatment where everybody is trying to play their best and everybody trying to have their best game against you. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Westbrook hasn't witnessed that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo hasn't witnessed that yet because they ain't got no rings. So they don't know what the LeBron treatment like yet.
I mean, apparently
Wayne Ellington.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? All these players ain't witnessed that other side of the league where like even the weakest players that we consider weak are putting on their best game because guess who they playing against tonight? LeBron James.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but then you have other teams like the Golden State Warriors who said, oh, this is what y'all want to do? Let's rock. And you have Steph Curry who's like, I know for a fact I need to put on my best performance almost every single night. Hold on a minute. I know what you're going to do.
Listen to the first word you just said.
What?
Steph Curry is saying what?
I have to put on my best performance every night.
So everybody on that roster, no, they got to put on their best performance. Because I'm going to tell you.
So what's the difference between the Lakers and Golden State Warriors?
Jordan Poole. Nothing against the kid. But Jordan Poole was trying to put on his best game that night. He was even talking smack.
Yeah.
What right do he got to talk smack against anybody on the Lakers roster yet? He ain't even established himself enough in the league yet. Could they point his finger at anybody on that Lakers roster yet?
We're not talking about one-on-ones. We're not talking about who's better.
Not about one-on-ones, but I'm just saying.
So I'm supposed to bite my lip because it's LeBron?
No, he's an upcoming player.
Yeah.
And he's putting on his best performance because he's playing against LeBron.
Yeah. I don't see. That's what I'm saying. I don't see anything wrong with that. So hold on a second. As LeBron James, you didn't make number one on the top 100. You didn't. They don't consider you the king no more. You a little old. You a little slower. So shouldn't that? And on top of that, hold on a second. And on top of that, talking smack. LeBron sending these subliminal messages on Twitter. Yeah, okay. Y'all keep talking. Yeah. I like to hear this. Where's this on the court? I get that the rest of your team has to step up, and y'all got little chemistry issues and so on and so forth. But if you LeBron James, you the king. I expect you to put people in like Jordan Poole in their place by blowing teams like Golden State Warriors out. But Phoenix Suns. Y'all talking crazy? Okay, I got something for y'all. Don't worry. You got to
remember about Golden State is them boys on that team been playing together for a few years, so they know each other a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody on their team ain't fresh off another team of being a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Westbrook is a superstar in his own. Carmelo was a superstar in his own.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight was a superstar in his own.
10 years ago.
I'm just saying, like in their minds, they have been number one caliber players.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a different mindset to get to coming in and buying in to a program.
And there is no shame in losing to Steph Curry in the Golden State Warriors.
None.
Because Steph Curry had a career shooting night. He always has many of them.
Not against the Lakers, but go ahead.
He scored almost 45 points in the first three quarters.
That was against the Clippers.
Okay.
The Lakers, he had a triple-double. He had a bad night.
Go ahead. Says when is a triple-double in a bad night?
Ask Steph. That's what Steph said. Steph said that. Steph said that.
Anyway, shooting-wise, he was saying he had.
Yeah, I know. Steph, he said shooting-wise.
As long as Steph is on the team, you have a chance. So there's no shame in losing to them. And wait till Klay comes back. I told y'all last year, and I'm going to say it again. Golden State is a team not to be messed with. While everybody's talking about the Lakers are going, the Clippers are going, or whomever's going, wait until Klay steps foot on that court on Christmas Day.
So you agree with Stephen A. when he said a healthy Klay Thompson comes back, Warriors can win the title this year?
I have not seen Golden State play the Bucks fully healthy, so I can't say that. Okay, Phoenix was a sharp shooting team, a lot like Golden State, and the Bucks swept them. Okay, they gentlemen swept them.
Well, first of all, Steph Curry is a different shooter than Devin Booker.
I 110% agree. I'll tell you this. Let me answer it like this.
Okay,
let me answer it like this. I'd rather the Bucks play the Lakers than the Golden State Warriors at full strength. But again, we're hoping. Hold up, we're hoping and assuming that Klay's coming back as old Klay. This is the second consecutive.
Hold on a second. That was the key phrase in there. If Klay Thompson comes back fully healthy,
and it's the same, I would love to see it, but the Western Conference, let's focus on them right now. Better watch out for a fully healthy Golden State.
My only problem with Klay coming back in December is game time conditioning.
Yeah.
Coming off the type of injuries he had, they cannot play him every night. which I think could kind of backtrack Golden State's process of being a championship caliber team. Because if he's not able to play every night,
that's going to hurt them.
That's going to hurt them a little bit with their chemistry and with them being able to play together. Because you got to realize he came off 2 back-to-back injuries.
Tough injuries.
Yeah. So you got to reevaluate this season if you're a Golden State Warriors GM and be like, is it worth pushing him that hard and try to make it in the playoffs to beat some teams, and then we might lose him again because he playing as hard as you're gonna play in the playoffs, he could get hurt easily again. Just coming back in December, January,
just a rebound and you land wrong,
and it can be a season-ending injury again for him.
Yeah.
So I think Golden State is going to be good, but I don't think they are championship good yet.
Okay.
Even with a healthy Clay coming back.
Well, with that being said, let's get into season predictions. Now, as I said, this is just the first week has been passed. We gonna eyeball test here. We just kind of look in, see what they got, see how this team is going, so on and so forth. So, champion 22, who you got?
Woo! Episode 2 of the 94 Feet podcast. I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Bucks can run it back. I really do. I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Really?
I am. I think the Bucks can run it back. Defensively, there is not a better team than the Bucks right now. Even in the first 3 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you look at the ratings, the rankings of the defensive, how the Bucks can make teams that are normally offensively great struggle on that side of the ball because of defense. KD is going KD. We never look at KD when we're talking about anything because he's going to be KD. But defensively, if the Bucks can stay there and Giannis has developed a somewhat of a jump shot. It's not Clay, it's not Steph, right? It's not Big Dog, but it's a jump shot.
Yeah.
So he's not depending on just playing in the paint all the time. Plus, we got George Hill back, who is a veteran off the bench, who can hit that shot when needed. When DiVincenzo comes back, that's some more offense. I like the Bucks for the repeat. It's hard to repeat. We know that, but I like the Bucks for a repeat.
I'm gonna go repeat too. I'm gonna go Bucks too. I'm gonna go Bucks because not for all the reasons you just said, and then also, I don't believe Anthony Davis is gonna be healthy like that. I believe Westbrook is mediocre at best.
Wow.
Now I don't say mediocre at best. Mediocre at best as into flowing with this system. I think in Washington, he got going towards the end of the season. And I think it's going to be the same thing here in LA. He's going to get going towards the end of the season. But by then, I think Anthony Davis and other guys are going to – I just think it's just going to be I don't want to be a shit show in Los Angeles, but I just think it's going to be not up to everybody's expectations. And then with Brooklyn, I think that seeing them at full capacity, they still have so many issues. And, James Harden is going James Harden, and KD is going KD, but the rest of that team, the rest of that roster just looks really mediocre at best.
For who?
For the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh,
so
man.
I think me and
that's
Kesey
the Bible right there.
Me and Kesey talked about this.
Keep talking. Go ahead.
Me and Kesey talked about this at the game. We was just like, they don't look good as everyone says they are, and people say that they look good, or they say no. I hear that the Nets strategy is always just to outscore you, but defensively they're horrible.
Well, and coaching, they have terrible coaching. They don't have a coach. Go ahead, Keith.
Whoa,
they don't.
Okay.
I mean,
they don't.
He's not a. He has to. He still kind of find his way in his, what he likes to do, but his system. But I won't say terrible coach, but he just still not to find his way. Go ahead.
In order for Brooklyn, and I'm going to agree with y'all. In order for Brooklyn to be considered, or in order for Brooklyn to win a championship, they're going to have to get a better coach, hands down.
Thank you. Hit the clap button.
And also, James Harden is going to have to go on that LeBron James diet as well.
Okay, now you can continue. I had to give you props for that. Because he's not a coach. Coaching makes a difference, and we know that KD needs coaching.
Yeah. He needs somebody that can get in his face at the same time and not back down to him. I think Steve Nash is a joke for KD. And if you look at their relationship, it looks like he's just like he's trying to learn almost himself from KD.
I can see that.
Yeah, and not only that too, man. When you look at the Brooklyn Nets, I don't know if it's, and again, it's only 2 games. So this in 3 weeks when we record this show, we might be talking a different tune. But James Harden doesn't seem like himself.
I think James Harden seemed like himself, but when you have because he's mainly playing point guard. And as much as James Harden did that last year, he did a good job last year, but to be honest with you, Brooklyn needs Kyrie.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to say that.
They need Kyrie.
They do.
They need Kyrie bad.
They need a general.
Kesey, real quick, general. Who did you say? Who did you say as far as next year championship or this year championship? Your prediction?
I'm going with the Bucks.
You going with the Bucks? Okay.
Just off of what I've seen off of the first game of the season, the Bucks healthy. Repeat.
Okay. So this question is more of a particular question. Will the 2022 MVP be a first timer?
No.
Really?
No.
Go ahead, Keezy. Who you got? Now I know who you got. Will he be a first timer?
No.
You don't think he'll be a first timer?
No. I don't see a first timer. I don't see one first timer that can win it.
Nope. Not with Steph and LeBron and Giannis and KD in the mix.
No Luka fans here?
I think the NBA will eventually give it to Luka, and I thought this might be his year. But the fact that Giannis has developed a jump shot, the fact that KD is balling like he's 5 years old, and Steph will turn it on this season because he feels disrespected from the votings from last season. KD, Steph, or Giannis, one of those 3 will be the MVP. Book it.
Okay.
Or LeBron. One of the 4.
No, it won't be LeBron.
Nah, it won't be him. He got too much talent on his team.
Okay.
Who will win Defensive Player of the Year?
I think Embiid to get it this year. He was snubbed last year. He should have got it last season. Who got it last season? Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert got it because of the contract. But I'm going to give it to Embiid. Embiid is one of the best defensive players in the game. I also like Giannis for a shot at it again.
I was just finished. I see Giannis Defensive Player of the Year, not MVP this year.
Yeah, Giannis plays both sides of the ball. What I love about Giannis's game is Giannis will posterize you and then speed back on defense like he just didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
And a lot of players don't do that. But I also like Embiid because Embiid is a monster on a defensive end. That's the best part of his game is his defense, in my opinion. I like Embiid for Defensive Player of the Year, but I would be okay with a Giannis one.
Before, if you had asked me this, like 2 months ago, I'd have said Ben Simmons. But obviously, with the BS that's going on over there in Philadelphia, that's not the case. So I'm going to go Rudy Gobert again just because he does nothing else. And if Rudy Gobert don't get like 2-3 blocks a game, that's a bad game for him. So he don't do nothing else. So I'll give it to him. Now, we had an episode in September, August, I believe, and we talked about this rookie class. Who do you think is going to win Rookie of the Year?
I don't even know who any of them are.
I'll give you.
Of them are.
So the number
Jalen
one
Green,
pick,
maybe
the number one pick was Cunningham. He hasn't played yet. He's an ankle injury. And then number 2 was Jalen Green. He's had like 9-10 points per game. I mean, for the Rookie of the Year, it's kind of early. And then we have Mobley, who is with I'm sorry, I can't think of it right. The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So out of those 3, who are you going with?
I like Green because he's on the worst team. He's on the Rockets. And if he can have an impressive season with the Rockets, he could possibly win it. I think we all know that if you're on a bad team and you're the best player, you can easily win the awards, especially Rookie of the Year.
That's
So
true.
I like Green if he can even play a full season. But like I said, I admittedly, even as a basketball fan, I didn't have a lot of interest in this last year's rookie draft because none of the names stood out. It just really wasn't that impressive to me. So
I mean,
go ahead, Kesey.
I mean, just looking at all of them, I just don't see any of them. I mean, it's so hard to decide because you don't really know them like you normally do. But as far as what I've seen so far, maybe Jalen Suggs or
I was gonna say Jalen Suggs, but I was gonna go with, I can't think of his name right now. The guy who got drafted by the Toronto Raptors.
Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes.
That's what I'm thinking. It's either gonna be one of them two because they both on teams.
They both on, but they're making impacts right away.
Yeah.
And with Jalen Green, for instance, he's starting, and the Rockets are really like pushing for him to be the franchise player there. And it takes time for guys to adjust. That's why this is too early of a prediction. But from what I've seen this week, this short time this week, Suggs and Barnes, these two guys have really been putting in the work. And it's good not to have all the attention of those first three picks just because the pressure is not on you. You can kind of like develop yourself as you go by, as time goes by. So, who would you say, not who, but which conference will have the coach of the year? Western Conference or Eastern Conference? Because the West is stacked. The East is kind of stacked too. I believe last year it was Doc Rivers. No, was it Doc Rivers last year?
Coach of the year. I don't remember, but to answer,
I think it was Doc Rivers.
We'll look it up. But
so what do you guys think? Who's going to be coach of the year? I do not think. Well, we just got done trashing.
Tom Thibodeau won last year.
Tom Thibodeau.
Tom
Okay.
Thibodeau won.
So for the Knicks. Okay. So I think that I'm gonna tell you who might win it. And I don't know his name, so Dre, you're probably gonna look this up for me.
Okay.
The Chicago Bulls coach. The Chicago Bulls are a team that people are not talking about. But they're talent-wise, they're probably one of the teams in the East who's going to make the playoff. Is it who?
Is it Billy Donovan?
Yes,
it's
Billy Donovan. Yeah,
okay.
He used to coach OKC. He's actually a great coach.
He's a really good coach.
College.
He's a good coach, really good coach in college. So I think the Chicago Bulls, which will take it over to the Eastern Conference, because I think that he is gonna the Chicago Bulls are gonna really surprise some teams this year.
I'm gonna go with Eric Spoelstra. I think the Miami Heat.
So the East, then.
The East. I think the Miami Heat will be a team to be reckoned with. I don't see them.
Not if Kyle Lowry keep putting up 2 points.
Overrated, but
I can see Miami. I think Miami will have a great season. Tyler Hero is playing some serious ball in these first 4 games. He is having a good start of his season. I think Jimmy Butler. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just hope he can be consistent with it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Hero, and I want to see him do well, but I want to see him be more consistent with it.
Yeah. I think Jimmy Butler has something to prove from a lackluster last season. Bam Adebayo is obviously putting up double-double numbers. That's another one we overlook for Defensive Player of the Year. Bam is early part of the season is averaging a double-double. Again, it's been 4 games, but he's averaging a double-double. I like Spoelstra, especially if Miami can get in the playoffs and make a deep run.
Okay. So out of we talked about these conferences and stuff like that, but out of the team in the number 1 team in the East and number 1 team in the West, do you expect to have the best record?
You want to start?
You said which
team do you think in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference is going to have the best record?
Western Conference, I'll probably say either Denver or Utah. They always seem to have the top records because they usually have the most consistent roster throughout the year. They just fold under the playoffs every year. And then in the East, you can either be the Bucks or it could either be, I'm gonna say Philly.
Philly, you think Philly again?
Yeah. I mean, Philly is not bad. They can win without Ben Simmons. That's what he don't realize.
I think they can win. I to be honest with you, I think there's going to be their Achilles heel eventually because Ben Simmons, once he gets his mental together, he
Oh, is that what they're saying now?
yeah, you didn't hear about
Oh.
we'll get into that in just a second. But his he plays both sides of the ball. And when you play both sides of the ball, when you're confident in playing both sides of the ball, because he's a point power forward, so he's half court, he's in your face, and he almost won defensive player last year. So it's one of those things where like I think that's going to be their Achilles heel. So be honest with you, I think it's going to be Brooklyn that's going to get that number 1 seed and have the best record in the East, and for the West, I think it's going to be Phoenix again. Just because they're a team that they've had a chance to kind of play together. This is going to be an 82-game season. So I think that, Chris Paul is going to give it his all, and then they're going to follow along in the playoffs. But I think this is one of those things where, it's going to be interesting. But I think I'm going to go with Phoenix in the West, and then for the East, I think it's going to be Brooklyn.
I'm going to go with the Nets and the Warriors. I'm going to go with the Nets in the Eastern Conference. Because I think they will get it together. I mean, besides the Bucks, I mean, the Nets don't really have any problems in the Eastern Conference. And I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors are 2-0. Jordan Poole is showing that he can, I'm not going to say feel Klay's shoes, but he plays that 2.5 men role very well. He's found his shot. They're already calling him Splash Nephew, I think they're calling him, because he can't miss. So I'm going to go with the Warriors out of the Western Conference, man. I think the Warriors is a team to watch. And again, I will be very interested to see how they do once Klay comes back on Christmas Day. So,
okay. So this week in the NBA, or this year in the NBA,
what, Casey? What you thinking about,
hold on
bro?
a second, Casey. You got something to say about this?
I mean, I'm just sitting back, taking it. I'm just sitting back, taking it in that you would think Jordan Poole is going to be the key to the Golden State Warriors having the best record. That's what you said.
That's not what I said.
That's kind of what he said.
That is not what I said.
What you say?
I said Jordan Poole is fulfilling the role that Klay normally would. I didn't say he was Klay, but he's fulfilling the role in this way too early season awards. Okay, this is the way too early season predictions. In this way too early predictions, Jordan Poole is a compliment to Steph Curry. He was not last season. Steph was out there as a one-man show last year, carrying the team on his back. Draymond in these first couple games are even looking like a Draymond of old, right? Mm-hmm. What's our other cat from Milwaukee that played the center?
Looney
is even having great games. But again, way too early predictions. When Klay comes back, y'all listen to this show and say, "Dang, dude was right."
I pray to God that doesn't happen, just so we don't have to say that. I'm just really honest with you. I pray to God that doesn't happen, just so we don't have to say
it's not going to
happen. Let's go, Klay.
I'm not worried about having to
say
it.
Let's go, Klay. Let's go.
So,
Let's go, Klay.
So this year is the 75th year of the NBA.
75.
And that being a thing this year, there's going to be moments where they bring back special moments that happen in the history of the NBA. But one of the things they've done this week was talk about the 75th anniversary team. And I'm not going to go through all 75 players. If you want to see all 75 players, you can easily look it up. Google it.
Can you give some notable names that were on the list? Just give some notable.
I mean, notable names are Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Durant, to be more active players. I know that recently Reggie Miller was a part of this list, and he got to find out live online. I mean, not live on the show, on the pregame show. So that was something interesting.
Who?
Reggie Miller.
Oh,
So
Reggie, no, he on there. Man, I ought to bust upside his head.
hey, everybody.
I forgot about it. He said that.
Yeah,
Man,
now
you know you was on. He know you was on there.
Now hold on a second. Now
No, Reggie didn't have some classic moments. Now
he has.
If it wasn't for Mike, Reggie would have had a championship.
You're right.
You sure right.
But now it's interesting you say that because,
in fact, I'm sorry, Michael said Reggie was the player that he hated to guard the most.
Oh yeah,
was Reggie Miller. Those are from Michael Jordan's mouth himself.
I believe it too.
He said the player he hated the most to guard was Reggie Miller.
I believe it. But now with every list, it's always a snub list.
Oh, he is there.
And this year's snub list is these names: Tracy McGrady,
not a snub,
not a snub.
Keep going.
Let me finish.
You mother.
Kyrie Irving, because I was going to say something. Kyrie Irving, Vince Carter, Grant Hill, Dwight Howard. So now
you said Vince Carter didn't even make it.
Vince Carter didn't make it. Now hold on a second.
Reel?
Hold on a second.
Let them get through the analyze.
Those are the highlights on this list. There's other guys who didn't make it, other old school guys who didn't make it, but this is the list of active and more recent players.
So can I ask you?
Go ahead, Dre. You over there steaming? Go ahead and get it off your chest.
For the sake of time, what do you want to know? What do you want to know? We're at 50 minutes and we haven't even talked about the title of the podcast. So what do you want to know?
Well, the thing of it is this: as far as this snub list go, I mean, do you think these guys got snubbed?
Is it all these guys, or should I say who was snubbed the most?
Who do you think got snubbed the most?
Honestly, I'm gonna go with Kyrie Irving. I'm gonna go with Kyrie Irving from that list.
Hold on, just real quick. I agree with you on him getting snubbed, and then we talk about him getting snubbed. James Harden and Russell Westbrook made this team.
And here's why I'm going to say Kyrie got snubbed the most. Because out of all those players listed on that roster, none of those players but Kyrie has a championship. Kyrie, in my opinion, since I've been watching basketball, late 80s, start understanding basketball, mid 90s, I have not seen a point guard with better handles than Kyrie Irving.
I'll tell you one player who didn't make the list.
Wait, hold up. I have not seen one player with better handles than Kyrie. Kyrie really didn't have a college career. If you think about his year with Duke, he was hurt, right? He came in, he helped save LeBron's legacy with that big shot over Steph. So, but we know why Kyrie didn't make the list. We know. Let's just call it what it is. Our decisions, whether good or bad, have consequences. And I think his consequence right now is that he's being the anti-face of the vaccine and going up against the NBA. When I look at players like John Stockton, Bill Walton, right, who made this list, not saying that they weren't great players. You have a lot of players on this list. Russell Westbrook, right? Jason Kidd. These are all great players, but you have a lot of players on here who didn't win championships. And to exclude Kyrie and include Damian Lillard, he's a highlight reel. We know that, right? But other than that, what has he done? To include players like Westbrook, average a triple-double as a guard. I get that.
That's historic.
That's his story. But to exclude Kyrie because of politics, to me, was sort of bogus.
So you believe he got...
I think that's the biggest snub of this list. We know Vince Carter's a highlight reel. We know T-Mac is a highlight reel. But the NBA is full of those. Kyrie changed the game from that point guard position, in my opinion. He's the biggest snub of that list. I would have said Dwight Howard, but Dwight didn't really embrace his big man role until it was far too late.
I got three people that you didn't even announce.
Who?
Derrick Rose.
Not a snub. Too injured.
Did y'all see the career that man was having?
I did see the career he was
having. Was the youngest MVP in NBA history.
He was.
Okay. Tony Parker.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's a good one.
And his running mate, Mano, he changed the game with the Euro step. He literally changed the game that everybody is using his Euro step right now.
But Monty Ginobili?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you a tougher question, if that's okay, Zeke. Let me ask you, see, here's the thing.
And they got multiple rings.
But you keep saying who missed the list. So the first player you said, Tony Parker. Who are you taking off this list?
There's too many people.
Who am I taking off the
Who
list?
are you taking off the list?
That's too many people to be looking at.
Some of these players we haven't even heard of because it was before our time.
That's very true. And
I
that
think,
doesn't take
hands down. I think Tony Parker should have been on that list before Damian Lillard.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Hands down.
I'll give you that.
There's no way
Tony Parker.
Tony Parker shouldn't have been on that list and Damian Lillard's on that list. What has Damian Lillard done that Tony Parker hasn't?
I hate to agree with anybody, but that that to be really honest with you, Kesey, that's a good example. Like Tony Parker, I looked at the list maybe once, maybe twice.
Bruh,
I did not see his name.
Steve Nash.
What? I was on the
He's
list.
on the list over Parker. Steve Nash.
Hey man, 25 years.
Come on, man. No, Tony Parker was that man for a long time, man.
That man is very subjective.
It is.
What?
It is.
That man is very subjective.
He was unguardable for a solid 8-9 years straight.
Unguardable. Tony Parker was a very intricate point to the San Antonio Spurs run, so their championship runs. I will agree with you, but to say he was the man is very hard to.
Without Tony Parker, they don't win them championships.
They still win those championships.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No.
How?
Tim Duncan.
Go look at Tony Parker's stat during those playoff series. They were almost triple doubles every night.
I mean, I
think he won MVP one year, didn't he?
Yeah,
MVP award
for the
finals. Maybe I think he won. Tony Parker. That's okay. I get you
over Steve Nash and Damian Lillard. There's no way neither one of them should have made the list before him.
Wow.
Yep. Tony Parker, 3-time NBA champion, 2007 Finals MVP, 5-time NBA All-Star. So, but again, to your point, gentlemen, 75 players out of a league of thousands,
millions.
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do.
It's hard to do.
I mean, it's one of those things where like guys like Klay Thompson said it was disrespectful. Guys like Dwight Howard was saying it was disrespectful. He wasn't on the list. I think Dwight Howard had a long time of I ain't gonna say to be a nobody, but the time between him winning these rings and when he was prime Dwight Howard is far in between. So
right.
I get it.
Plus, he was on like 5 teams, man.
Yeah, he was hoping to have a job every year, and he's still hoping to have a job. Like he's not guaranteed a job.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
so who's the snub of the list for you, though?
To me, the snub of the list was probably Kyrie. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't like Kyrie's attitude. I don't know why Kyrie does stuff.
I think he's a snub, but I think Tony Parker is the biggest snub I've seen.
But even if you want to talk about statistically, Kyrie's a better point guard than Tony Parker. To be honest with you.
Really?
I would agree.
So if you was a GM and you got prime Tony Parker, I'm talking about prime Tony Parker.
Yeah.
And you got prime Irvin, who you gonna pick to run your squad?
I'm taking Kyrie.
Are you talking about these guys are the main focus?
No, who you gonna pick to run your team? Because you already know it's another superstar on there.
I'm taking
it's another superstar here.
You know Kyrie. Because you already know Kyrie can't win a team by himself because he had Cleveland.
He couldn't do it in
and
Boston.
He couldn't do it by himself. He couldn't do it in Boston. So we already know Kyrie needs somebody else.
No, I would say this. Here's the difference between
Wait a minute, but you're saying like Tony Parker didn't get drafted into a good situation. Tim Duncan is the greatest point guard of all time. Greatest power forward center of all time. When people list their GOATs, they normally say Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. I say Jordan, LeBron, Duncan, Kobe. Okay, so people are acting like Tim Duncan. Yeah, I said it. Tim Duncan is a killer. Tim Duncan, the big fundamental, changed the game for that role. So people are acting. Hold up. I'm saying this because you're saying like Tony Parker didn't have Manu Ginobili. You're saying like he didn't have Tim Duncan. You're saying like he didn't have Patty Mills, who in his prime was a sharpshooter. You're saying like he didn't have Kawhi. You're saying like he didn't have Bruce Bowen.
Patty Mills wasn't, in that rotation when they was over there putting
in
that
work.
No,
yes,
he wasn't. He was at the late end of it. At the front end of it, you had Elliott, you had Mario,
you had Bruce
Ellis,
Bowen.
You had Bruce Bowen. You had a whole lot of other players before then.
And I'm saying that to say Tony Parker's situation. Well, I'm not disagreeing about his place, but Tony Parker was never put in a must-win situation. The Spurs have never had a bad year as long as they had Tim Duncan.
Okay, but then you got Kyrie. He couldn't do it on his own until LeBron came back in Cleveland.
Well, you asked me a question. You asked me a question.
I get it.
And so to answer that question, I'm gonna go Tony Parker, but I'm going Tony Parker not because of his skill set. I'm going Tony Parker because of his mentality going towards the game. So when you talk about Tony Parker, as far as like him being in his San Antonio system, he got drafted to a good system. So you get the ball to Tim Duncan kicks it back out to you. You hit the open shot. You become this distributor and you hit the open jump shots.
But you got to be able to do that too at the same time. And he did it and done it.
But if you talk about skill set, Kyrie is the better player. We're talking about skill set here.
He's a better shooter.
He's a better shooter. He's a better dribbler.
He's a better handler.
He can go inside. He can go out. So skill wise, he's the better player.
I'm gonna tell you like this tonight. Do your homework.
I'm gonna do my homework.
Go look at Tony Parker highlights. That's what I want y'all to do tonight.
We're not denying his.
No, but I'm just saying. But I want you to, because it's been so long since you've seen him, you might not remember. You know what I'm saying? I want you to get it tonight. Go home and do your homework on Tony Parker.
Well, if you listen to this, do your homework. Do your
people
homework
out there. Go out there, check out Tony Parker, check out the Kyrie highlights, and come back at me next week.
All right. So just to wrap the show up real quick, we're going to dive into, I don't want to spend too long because it irritates me every time I think about it or every time I talk about it. It burns my biscuit. And I just want to get this out before I really even kick it to y'all. So the continuous saga of Ben Simmons is, first it was the suspension because you wasn't ready. Doc Rivers kicked you out of practice. You were suspended for not the home opener, but for the first game of the season. And then at first it was your back. My back hurting, I'm tired. Ooh. And then you come back with mentally, I'm not ready. And to me, it sounds like you need to man the entire beep up because when it sounds like to me, you can't handle the criticism. And if you can't handle the criticism in the National Basketball Association, you should not be here. And I just find it very timing that he came in with the mental stuff right when he was supposed to, it was put up a shut up time. Because a person like Kevin Love, when he was talking about his mental issues, I believed it because you can see it. Because you can see it in his the way he did things. He wasn't hurt. It wasn't no pressure on him. It wasn't like, hey, we need you, Kevin Love, to step up. It was just Kevin Love was always injured, so on and so forth. He was like, yeah, actually, I've been dealing with some mental issues on top of my injuries. But if I'm played to perform, I'm going to play. And so my thing about Ben Simmons is, I feel like he's using this as an excuse. And when it was brought up on ESPN, the pregame show, Stephen A said the same thing. I can't deny it. I can't prove that he's lying. But the NBA, best believe the NBA is going to look into this. Because now when you say I'm not mentally ready to play, you don't put a timeline on that. And even when Kyrie was on the same thing, like, yeah, I'm not mental. I need to take a mental break or so on and so forth. But then we see you out partying with your family. And it's one of those things where, like, I can't believe you. I don't expect you to be sitting at home crying and in a deep depression. And Lord forbid he put a bullet to his head. But what I'm saying is, it sounds like some BS from a timing perspective.
That is one example you can't use because sometimes your family is your peace. Sometimes being around your family might be the only time he smile.
You know what? I'll agree with you on that. Okay, I'll agree with you on. We'll agree with you on that. That you're right. Being around your family sometimes is one of those things where, like, that helps me. That brings me peace, puts a smile on my face, makes me be in a better mental place. And I think, but I guess, like, going back to Ben Simmons, and then you always hear about these reports is he pulled the same thing. Andrew Bogut said the same thing, that he was doing that on the Australian national team, where he was doing the same kind of stuff he's doing right now. And it's very frustrating when you're paying a guy millions and millions of dollars to just do what the F you want to do just because, you can. And that's what it seems like to me. Like Ben Simmons has yet to face the media. And just before he's talking about his mental issues, they was done with him. His teammates is done. The fans was ready to boo him and stuff like that. But now that he said it's a mental issue, you got Joel Embiid coming out on home opener. Hey guys, let's stick by Ben Simmons. He's our friend. He's our brother. So on and so forth. Preparing him not to boo him. And to me, it looks like again he's trying to get coddled. And we're grown men here.
So a lot of times we talk about people pulling the race card, pulling the sexism card. Ben Simmons pulled the mental health card. And as we all know, none of us can. Mental health is not a judgment call. So let's start there. We are not downplaying the seriousness and severity of mental health. The timing, though, this happened after you were suspended. Mental health came up after they were talking about an indefinite suspension. Now, because he's declaring mental health, guess what? He still collects a check. He still collects a check.
I just feel like somebody on his team was like, you know what you should say?
Or let's not forget that he has the LeBron running the show with Rich Paul. Okay, Rich Paul is a very smart.
What that got to do with LeBron? See, there you go. Everybody always want to tag LeBron to the bad part.
LeBron built the Rich Paul empire. That's what that has to do. Okay, all those players that are on Rich Paul's payroll, they can thank that LeBron influence. But that's neither here nor there. Ben Simmons, I think, mental health or not, he is not helping himself for the future. When the general manager of Philly said, brace yourself for a 4-year fight. That tells me that nobody wants Ben Simmons.
Or they're not willing to give up Ben Simmons for the cheap.
For the cheap. And so Ben Simmons pulling the mental health card, I'll say this. I hope it's true. I hope he gets the help that he needs. But Ben Simmons is a problem. And the minute he comes back and says, I'm ready to play, Philly should suspend him.
Look,
should suspend him.
Let me ask you this question, Dan. Do you think do you think the fans should have sympathy or boo him?
Well, I mean, you know how I feel. I think as people in general, we're way too hard on people. It's at the end of the day, we love it. It's just basketball, honestly. And we know Philly and New York are the toughest fans to ever come across, right? We know that. And so for a fan, I don't really think it matters what we want as fans. He's a grown man still clocking his paper. But I think the fans just need to chill out for a minute. Okay, because what if it is really mental health? What if it is? That's just like when we're dealing with people with suicidal issues. We can't ask a person, hey, do you think Dre is suicidal? Because if you say no and Dre decides to pursue, then you're going to be like, man, I never would have thought of that. I never would have thought Dre would have done that. So we can't morally say if a person is having true mental health issues or suicidal. To me, they're sort of one and the same. So if the fans should have sympathy, they should wait to see how this plays out. Let Ben get his counseling, get his therapy, and come back and see what it's about. Because if he is out here still living his life, if he's out here partying, if he's out here still being Ben, the NBA is going to have a problem, and they're going to ring the alarm on this. So the fans just need to be patient and let this thing play out.
My only problem is, though, how come a person cannot live their life because they say they having mental health issues? Does your whole life get put on pause because you have mental health issues? Or do you try to live your life to your fullest so that you can get back to your mental health?
Hold on a second. So Keezy, I'll send the question your way because I see where you're going. Are you giving Ben some leeway and saying, hey guys, let's give him some sympathy, give him some space?
Yeah, give him some space. Get him a little break.
Well, how much more does he need?
But people got to realize being in the spotlight a lot and being a superstar in the NBA is a lot for a human being. And people don't realize that because they don't have the type of money he got. They don't have the type of people heckling him the way he got. They don't have the social media talking about him the way they got. They don't have Stephen A putting you down like that he got. You know what I'm saying?
Stephen A is really hard on people.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some people that are really cruel in the society that we live in that we didn't have to grow up in.
Right.
So you don't find this suspicious?
I'm not going to say
I'm not saying it's
suspicious.
suspicious,
The
but
timing is
but at the
That's
same-
what I'm saying. You don't find the timing
but at the
suspicious?
same-
You
but at
can
the-
never call mental health suspicious because we don't know. The timing is a coincidence, but you can never call mental health suspicious because we don't know.
My only thing is, just because a person is having mental health or whatever they having, don't mean their life stop. What are you supposed to do? Go sit in the house and cry all day?
I'm not
But
saying
that's
go
not-
sit in the house crying all day. I'm saying
Because I heard him say the organization better not see him out there partying with his friends,
so-
kicking it with his friends.
So here's the
doing this
thing,
with his
though. Here's
friends,
the thing we have to
having
remember.
family get-togethers. You know what I'm saying?
That's not what he said, but here's the thing you have to
that's
remember.
what you said.
When you declare those type of illnesses, there's protocols behind it. So if I'm saying that I'm mentally ill or suicidal, usually there's some rehab check-ins there. There's some mandatory therapy. There's some mandatory
Okay.
counseling. Hold up. What I'm saying is, if he doesn't follow suit with those things, the NBA may have a problem with you declaring that you're having mental health issues. And let's not even put the tag mental health, because he didn't say mental health.
You did.
He just said, I'm not mentally prepared. That doesn't mean he's having mental health issues, because I wake up every Monday. Hold up.
Go ahead.
I wake up every Monday not always mentally prepared for work.
I ain't mentally prepared for nothing.
That doesn't mean you're having mental health issues. It just means that I am not in the right state at this moment.
But you bring your ASS to work.
Again, mental health issues are different from not being mentally
Hold on.
prepared.
Okay, hold on a
They're
second.
different.
Hold on a second. Go
They're
ahead.
different.
I see where you're going.
They're different.
So if you wake up and you say, I'm not mentally ready right now for work, do you sit at home or do you go to work?
I go to work.
So what should Ben Simmons do?
Go to work.
That's what I said.
I knew that's what he was going. I knew that's what he was. I knew that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying this. He does under a lot of pressure. I'm going to wrap this up real quick. I'm not saying he's like under a lot of pressure. And we in this room, our salaries do not add up to a quarter of what he's making. But what I'm saying is, but what I'm saying is,
bro got 200 billion on.
So I'm just saying, like,
spend that on socks and drawers.
It's just very, like Dre said, it's just very convenient how all this is playing out. That this the last card he put out his pocket, like he was reaching for his pocket. He's like, I got mental health. And it's like, and that saves his money. That stops him from doing what he really wants to do, which is play.
You know,
I just find it all really convenient.
You know who he got that from, right?
Who?
Kyrie called him.
And on that note, we're gonna
kicking it.
You know, and on that note, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. So this has been another episode of the 94 Feet Podcast. I'd like to thank my brothers, Dre. I'd like to thank Kesey.
All right, good people. This was another good episode. Please check us out on Spreakers, Google, iHeart, Apple, and Spotify. Also, check us out on Twitter, Facebook,
Instagram.
and Instagram.
At 94 feet.
At 94 feet.
At 94 feet. Also, shout out to Kesey nephew for all in this year. This is his senior year. We're looking forward to him talking about him in college and possibly NBA or G League like D-Wade's son.
Yeah. Shout out to my nephew, man.
Yeah.
C Jizzle. Just turned 18. Very humble kid, man.
Happy birthday, CJ.
Check him out. He's at West Dallas Central this year. Over there with a good group of boys, y'all.
Yep.
Y'all got some big plans ahead of them this year. Stay humble, y'all.
Yep.
And play hard.
I want to give a quick shout out to John Peter, man. John Peter is one of my students. He follows us on 94 Feet. He listens, and he's a baller too, both football and basketball. John Peter, do your thing, man. Go out and ball. Like Kesey said about CJ, man. Stay humble. Chase the dream. Get the education first. Worry about the money later.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.